Welcome back to the United Pubcast for the first match preview of the season. Thank God football is finally back. Manchester United against Wolves. Larry, I've been waiting for this for far too long, but finally it is back, and I am feeling worryingly very confident. I'm not usually feeling confident on first game of the season for Manchester United, but here I am, extremely confident.
No need to be worried, Tom. I think it's perfectly normal to feel confident. Manchester United have had a good, promising pre-season. Some good signings have come in. After watching all the football over the weekend, I absolutely cannot wait to hear that Premier League anthem ring out at Old Trafford. I'm absolutely pumped for it. It'll be a good game.
Has the return of the Premier League been a bit, I wouldn't say not exciting, but a little bit sort of downplayed a little bit because of the FIFA Women's World Cup in regards to there's been so much football, we've been so sort of invested in that. Suddenly the first Premier League game for us here in Sydney was a Saturday, 5 o'clock Saturday morning. Then unfortunately Arsenal got that win but all of us were tuned into the England and Matildas game. And I'm just thinking the Premier League kind of didn't really get my excitement going in those first couple of games where usually it does. I am happy it's here, but usually I'm a little bit more excited in regards to the other teams.
It's an interesting observation. I have to say, I'm very invested into the Matildas at the moment. They're probably the number one football team that's taking my attention. And look, Manchester United will always be my favorite football club. That's the club I support, and I'm sure you're very much in the same boat, Tom. Pardon me, but you and I will do a preview with the Matildas match in a couple days. And I think as Australians, we've got this unique perspective where we're not used to success. As when it comes to football, as a nation, we're not used to success. So I think maybe for us, the Premier League's taken a little bit of a back burner or a back step. But make no mistake, by this time next week, when the Women's World Cup is completely finished, I think we'll be all in Manchester United once more.
Yeah, definitely. Well, make sure you are subscribed. As said, here's the match preview Tuesday morning. Immediately post-match, we'll go live with a review, post-match review. And then Tuesday night, Sydney time, we'll do a preview of the World Cup semi-final between Australia and England, because not only has a Matilda's point of view, it obviously has a Manchester United link in there with the Manchester United's trio. But evening, Mike. Good to see you, mate. As always, Justin, even though it's pumped for game one. Definitely glad it is back. And George, good evening, guys. Matilda's through to the semis. Ange, first match in charge. Yeah, he kicks off in a few hours. What a 24 hours for Australian football. It is big. Obviously, that is an 11 p.m. kickoff here. Spurs and Brentford, I believe. I'm pretty sure that is Brentford. My internet is a little bit choppy. If any issues, Larry's going to kick me out and continue on solo, and I'll continue in the live chat with everyone. But, we'll touch on Brentford and Spurs in a little bit because that is a very interesting match. But, Larry, Wolves, first game of the season. 3 points is 3 points, whether it's the first game of the season, the 12th game of the season, or the 38th game of the season. All the 3 points are just as important as the next 3 points. My God, this is important. It's not a must-win game, but my God, in terms of, City won comfortably, Newcastle won comfortably, Arsenal were winning games. United need to put a statement. I think Wolves potentially are going to get relegated. I just think at the end of the season, if you want to have title aspirations, you beat Wolves at home. So I'm just thinking, just the feeling into this, it's must-win. Just crazy.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. United do need to make a statement. In seasons past, this game would have a draw written all over it. And I think United need to start fast. They need, and not only do they need to make a statement, I think they need to score an early goal, Tom. I think they need to score early and get that crowd up, get them optimistic about the season ahead. Because for far too long, United have started seasons slow. And I think, just given the transfer window that we've had, which has been quite good, it has to be said. I think we've had a good transfer window, all things considered. When July came around, we were all a little bit worried. Are United getting any of the business done and so forth? But all in all, we've done well. And now, obviously, one of those signings isn't going to play. But given what we saw in pre-season, I expect United to put the sword to Wolves. And regardless of new manager bounce or whatever they have going on, Ten Hag said it right in the press conference. He said, we respect the opposition, we analyse the opposition, but we focus on ourselves. And if United play to their potential, Wolves will not get a say.
Yeah, no, you're right. And fingers crossed that proves to be correct as well. Chris here, good to see you as always. Mike saying, hoping for a sober Larry in regards to some usual measured and insightful analysis tonight, still recovering from...
You thought mine was bad. Did you see what Adam McCullough said about Anthony Martial at Stretford Paddock?
I haven't seen his latest video on that. No, what did he say?
Martial has scored 20 goals this season.
If he's fit, he would, but we just know, unfortunately, that if is a bit of a caveat in that. And also sticking on Martial, no, not Anthony Martial himself, but in regards to someone scoring goals, is going to be our number 9, our striker against Wolves. It's not going to be Højlund. It's not going to be Anthony Martial. Jadon Sancho, false 9, or Marcus Rashford through the middle?
I think it'll be Marcus Rashford. I think that Sancho's looked good, but he hasn't demanded a spot. And I just think Rashford's the closest thing to a sure thing you can get up front. And given Rashford's impact in the last match, obviously he scored a header from a set piece. Now, the header ended up going into Casemiro's name, pops up on the score sheet, but I think it would have gone in regardless. And I think Rashford's the more natural one. The other point in that is Garnacho absolutely killed it in those final few games, particularly last start against Lens. So I think Garnacho, in virtue, has forced his way into the starting lineup. And for that reason, Rashford has to play. Rashford plays up front.
Yeah, no, look, I tend to agree, and that's not really sort of a drop-in of Jadon Sancho or anything. As I said, I think he has been quite sharp, which you allude to in regards to the preseason performances, but maybe almost the main thing...
sorry to interrupt you, Tom. I'd support Sancho starting on the right, but I just don't expect that to happen. I think Anthony's got a sure thing on that shirt.
You say that with a sort of a hint of you'd almost prefer Jadon Sancho over Anthony.
I would. I think Sancho just offers more.
He doesn't offer more for me. I understand and I share. As soon as Anthony cuts back, I'm on board with you. There's two sides to the game, and Anthony, in regards to what he offers the team off the ball, is on a different level to Jadon Sancho.
I think Sancho works hard though, and look, we're versing Wolves, and that's the thing. I expect United to keep the ball here. Is that really what you want? Do you need work rate out of your winger? This isn't Manchester City. I think we need someone who can actually penetrate and create. And I don't see Anthony as that guy. And I don't know what Wolves are going to do. I mean, they only assigned a new manager in the last week, but I would dare say that they're going to sit in a low block and try and frustrate United. Is someone coming in off the left who can be pretty predictable what you need in this game, or do you need someone with a bit of trickery who has the ability to go inside and outside and find a key pass? I'd go Sancho.
Look, you don't need to sort of sell me on Jadon Sancho in regards to his creativity, but off that right, in regards to there's not going to be any space in behind if Wolves park the bus. Anthony's someone who doesn't need to go in behind. He is one who can come in and create. So, look, I do share frustration, or not frustrations, but concerns and questions over Anthony. But for me, he plays, and I think it is the right decision. But Al here, which we'll touch on in a little bit in regards to some transfers, there has been a little bit of talk. Fabrizio has tweeted about an hour ago in regards to Benjamin Pavard, a bid being rejected. But we'll touch on the transfer stuff at the end. Let's move a little bit deeper, Larry. Midfield picks itself. Well, does Mason Mount pick himself? I think he does. Is there a sort of situation? I called maybe a month ago. I thought Eriksen would play no matter what Mason Mount did in pre-season. I just thought he would sort of take his time. But off the back of pre-season, I think Mount plays in that midfield trio.
Yeah, I think Mount plays too. And I'm excited for that midfield setup. And keen to see how the fluidity of the midfield setup moves. So, but yeah, I think it will be Mount, Casemiro, and Bruno. And as it should be, I think those three players obviously played the most football. And you have to say on paper, our best options. So you want to see United start the season strong, put out the strongest possible lineup, and absolutely put the sword to Wolves. A Wolves midfield, mind you, that is missing Ruben Neves. Now, I want to see that midfield dominate the game. I actually think that'll be the key for United. I think there'll be frustrating points because, like I said, I assume they'll sit in a low block, but that midfield holds the key. Can Mason Mount and Bruno particularly be creative enough to break Wolves down? Because I think with the likes of Rashford and Anthony and so forth, Garnacho, I think we will, if we can find those players in key positions, I think they'll score. But can we get that ball to them? So I think the midfield absolutely holds the key in United getting a good result.
Jeez, I almost threw my mouse out, but I was in complete agreement with you, no doubt, before I threw my mouse at the keyboard. But Mike's saying, I like Sancho. We've had this debate many times, and we won't sort of go into great detail now, but Larry and I have sort of shared our views in regards to this. Sancho has great ability. I don't know, being a little bit simplistic, but is he too slow to be a dominant winger in the Premier League? I think that's definitely a sort of a concern over his sort of future in the Premier League. Then he also has other traits, and there's a bit of a balance. There's no doubt that's a weakness to his game. But that's something we'll be definitely having in regards to more Sancho discussions. And Chris, boys, I'm buying an exercise bike for my home gym and going to rewatch the early games. I'll riding the bike instead of sitting on the lounge. That's one of the sort of tendencies I have at the moment over the last couple of years since my gym has Optus Sport on the treadmill. So if I don't know the result for a match, I just go for like a 2-hour walk on the treadmill or a slow jog, and I just think there's a 2-hour jog I'm doing where I'm not really thinking. If there's a game in front of me, it sort of goes like that. So it is a good bit of a tip in regards to doing your exercise and your workout. If you have a game to watch, especially one you don't know the result to, the time can fly. Getting those exercise minutes in. But Larry, further back. Sure, yep, plays left back. Lisandro Martinez, centre back. Rafael Varane, centre back. Onana between the sticks, of course. Aaron Wan-Bissaka, Diogo Dalot. I'm picking Diogo Dalot. Even though I'm probably on the side of the fence, Aaron Wan-Bissaka should be first choice in the moment in regards to performances. You haven't said anything, but I know your answer will be Aaron Wan-Bissaka will be first choice or be your selection in this one, and I don't disagree with that. I just have a hunch Eric Ten Hag wants to pick Diogo Dalot.
I think he wanted to pick Diogo Dalot, but I think Diogo Dalot has forced himself to the bench for what he did against Lens. He's just... I've said it all along, and I hate it.
It was a mistake. It was a mistake. But there was 1,000 mistakes in that game.
I know, but his mistake leads directly to the goal, right? Like, it was the kind of mistake that no player could recover. Like, no player had the opportunity to make up for.
But when we're adapting to Onana's style, mistakes kind of not encouraged, but they're kind of welcome. They're going to happen because that mistake, that misplaced pass, and De Gea doesn't get chipped from halfway. So in terms of getting used to Onana, I'd rather that mistake happen now. Okay, he's had that mistake. He's learned from that. Now he's still in the team.
I just think the perception around Dalot is wrong. I think there's this idea that he's good on the ball. I don't think he's good on the ball. I don't.
No, that's stupid.
Not.
That's over.
But he's not, Tom. Like, he's not bad, obviously. He doesn't have a donkey first touch, right?
He's not bad, or he's not good on the ball. Brilliant. Which one?
But he's not brilliant with the ball. Like,
he's a right back. He doesn't need to be fucking Lionel Messi. Like, he's very good footballer. He plays for Portugal. He's a very good footballer.
Yeah, he's a good footballer. Otherwise, he wouldn't be playing in the Premier League. But this notion that he's better on the ball than Aaron Wan-Bissaka, I mean, I personally don't really see a notable difference. I think he's a little bit better, maybe, with terms of close control. But I think Aaron Wan-Bissaka offers you more in terms of the all-round game that you want from a fullback.
Oh, you can definitely make that case, definitely in regards to both sides of the game, Aaron Wan-Bissaka defensively, no doubt about it. And look, I would not lose any sleep at all if Wan-Bissaka is the first choice against Wolves. I think he deserves it in regards to performances.
Speaking of Wolves, they've just sold Traore to Fulham as well. So I mean,
I'm telling you, Wolves fans, they're losing their shit. They won't have enough to field 11 players. They're just selling players and not signing anyone. They are really concerned about their preparations for this season.
Yeah, it is alarming for them. They've lost a lot of key players, which is really interesting because there was obviously this connection. Now, I don't know this for sure, but has there been a disconnect in that relationship with George Mendes? Because it seems that all the players that he had brought in are all suddenly leaving the football club. Now, I don't know if that's a breakdown in things away from the football pitch or not, but all of their good players have essentially left. I can't think of one player that we used to think, oh, they're a good player, they're a good player. They've lost everyone. Is Raul Jimenez still there?
He's gone to Fulham.
Yeah, he's gone to Fulham as well. There you go. So I don't know. I don't know who we're versing. I can't even spit the name out at you.
That's the look. To be honest, I had to hold my hands up. Our image today in regards to our thumbnail. I can't tell you who that is on the thumbnail. He plays for Wolves. He's got a Wolves shirt on. I don't know who it is. I should know. When someone says the name.
Pavard is a good player. He plays. He's a Portugal international as well. They've got Nito. Outside of that, I couldn't name you any Wolves players. I don't know who they play. I don't know how they're going to play. I know they've sacked their manager. I don't know who their new manager is. They brought
in Gary O'Neill from Bournemouth. Obviously did a decent job with Bournemouth towards the end of last season.
From Bournemouth, I thought that was harsh.
Yeah. You look at the concerns and questions and frustrations we have towards our clubs, but then you see that's at the top end of the table. You see how some of these other clubs are run and sort of the challenges and decisions they make. It puts it into perspective a little bit. But before we move on, I see a few comments. I see Box talking about Pavard, which we'll touch on in a second. We'll touch on the latest in and around Mason Greenwood as well. But just in and around the match, that's a pretty straightforward match. We'll pick pretty much the same starting 11s except for the right back. As I said, we're both confident of a match, confident of a win in the match. But key player, just in regards to who you think will steal the show. Maybe not be the most important, but who do you think will be the one that we stand out the most when we're doing our 3-2-1s?
Look, I just said to you that I think our midfield's going to be key. And that's why I say United got to score early, because I think if Wolves grow into the game, the more likely we are to get a draw. Look, I think United will score early. I'm going to say Bruno Fernandes. I think he's the one who maybe hasn't had a barnstorming preseason. I think all eyes have been on Mason Mount because he's a new signing. I think Bruno will be key, and I think he'll have a good game. I think Bruno will get on the score sheet tomorrow. Tomorrow? Tuesday morning.
Yeah, pretty much tomorrow. But look, I tend to agree. If I had to pick one, it would be Bruno Fernandes. I think maybe if we're on the front foot and having a good game, there's a little bit of space. You could see maybe Garnacho having a good game against one of the fullbacks. That's obviously a little bit of... I have full faith in him doing that. But that's a hope that the games does play out that way. But Bruno Fernandes or Alejandro Garnacho for me. Justin saying Bruno for him. Some of the passes in pre. I saw one of the passes. I forget which game it was. Might have been that Lons game to Garnacho. A pass he played from just almost in front of the dugouts out to the Garnacho on the left. It was an unbelievable ball, to be fair to him. And Bruno Fernandes. And look, his first game. I say his first game as captain. Obviously, he was captain the whole of last season, pretty much, but official captain. Something different for Bruno Fernandes. So he obviously has to take on that responsibility. Someone he's the former captain wasn't able to do. So big step for Bruno Fernandes in his Manchester United career. But I'm full faith that he will lead Manchester United the best way he can, no doubt. But bit of a score prediction, Larry. You know me, I don't like score predictions, but here we are. Preview, we'll do it.
Score prediction. I think it'll be comprehensive. I think United will win 3-0.
Do we kind of... We don't. You'll take 1-0, we'll take 5-4. Do we kind of need a big win in regards to when we started the podcast? We said need a bit of a statement. Okay, City have gone and sort of wiped the floor. Arsenal have won. I assume... Actually, one of Chelsea Liverpool's going to drop points. Newcastle scored 5 goals. If Wolves are going to be this sort of bit of a basket case, which we're kind of predicting, at home to potentially one of the worst teams... Do Manchester United need to go? Obviously, we don't need to, but you know what I mean.
Wolves are, like we said, they're a club in turmoil. United have to put the sword to them. They really do, and I think they do. They can't be getting a 1-0 victory against Wolves. Obviously, you take it, and we'll be positive, and we'll come on here and we'll say, "Look, a win's a win," and it is. But just given the attacking prowess we saw in pre-season, how disappointing would it be if we only managed to get a 1-0 win? Yeah. I think this is, with respect, this is Premier League fodder. You have to absolutely be belting these. If we're the type of club that we said can win the league, I'm not saying we'll win the league, but if we want to be in that fight, you got to Wolves at home, please. 3-0 is the minimum to ask for. To be honest, they should put 5 past them. Now, granted, you can make the argument, well, we don't have a striker. I mean, yep, you're valid in that. But I think there's enough strike power there. And with that strike power, 3 goals minimum. And keep a clean sheet. You got to keep a clean sheet. They got no players.
Look, I don't like that I agree so much with that, because usually I'm sort of 1-0, you take whatever, winning's winning and all these things. But I also do side in terms of looking at the whole context and where we want to be. Now, yes, sitting here at full time, if we get an 88th minute own goal to win the match, I'll be over the moon and saying that's a sign of champions. Of course I will. But sitting here before the match, you're completely right in regards to saying it does need to be a big win, especially considering what our rivals are doing. Box, agree, Højlund not available. Definitely, it would have been the perfect opportunity for him to get his Old Trafford debut. Unfortunately, that's not to be the case. It does look like he might be back for the Arsenal match. I believe Arsenal's our 4th game of the season, but he's obviously not going to be match fit, so that'll be interesting in Højlund. But our last debut against Arsenal, left footer, blonde hair, Anthony, scored at Old Trafford, so fingers crossed Højlund can do that as well. And just anything less than 3 goals will be disappointing. I feel our problem last season, we couldn't finish teams off 1-2 goal margins. We need big results. Couldn't agree more. Well, would like big results, no doubt. But Larry, Wolves preview, done. First one of the season. Can't wait for the review on immediately after the full-time whistle on Tuesday morning our time. But other news around Manchester United. I'll just bring up here Fabrizio Romano an hour ago. Bayern rejected United's first approach with Benjamin Pavard as reported on Saturday, but Man United remain in there as Benjamin Pavard wants to move. He won't sign a new deal at Bayern and insists on leaving. latest on Benjamin Pavard? Talk to me.
Look, it's a negotiation, right? Now, there's no price set here, which I think is a crucial point. Have United gone in and tried to absolutely lowball Bayern Munich? Let's wait and see. I think it'll take around 30 million to get this deal done, I dare say, with a year left on his deal. Now, I'm going to dare say that United have come in and absolutely try to lowball this one. Let's see. Look, when have United ever gone in first time of offering and have a bid accepted? It doesn't happen. So, I also got to say, I think there's we're getting some mixed reports around Harry Maguire at the moment, which is a little bit concerning for me. I saw there were some reports that Maguire might be a sticking point around personal terms. Now, Laurie Whitwell was reporting that it wouldn't be an issue. But then there was a report today that maybe it could be an issue.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think
it might be, and look, this is with no information, just a hunch. It's probably in and around Manchester United's payment towards Harry Maguire. And is that a lump sum? Is that a consistent payment? Is that sort of keeping some part of the contract open? I'm not sure, but I think the telling thing, if Harry Maguire is involved, and obviously he's not going to start, he's not going to play, but if he's on the bench against Wolves, I think that might tell us something. Because
Ten Hag said in the press conference he would be.
Yeah, but I think he also said Ronaldo would stay, De Gea would stay, Maguire would stay. I think in terms of Eric Ten Hag's words.
To come out and say he'll be in the squad. Well, I mean, he didn't say those words. He got asked the question and he said, of course.
Yeah, I think, of course, is one of his sort of go-to answers, probably the first thing he learned when he was learning English. But I think that'll be telling. I think because if the deal is done, he won't be put at risk in terms of if West Ham want him, you can't potentially put a player in a position where they can injure themselves. So I think if the deal is done, he won't be playing.
I think if he's on the bench, but Lindelof is also on the bench, then, I don't think
it's not the end of the world in regards to the deal if he is on the bench, but he'll try a little bit of a spanner in the discussions, no doubt. But box here, I saw these popped up for a goal with Brighton. Brighton did well last night against Luton. Evan Ferguson did score a goal. Hoyland Ferguson is front two. I think it's definitely probably a ambition of United to get Evan Ferguson in. But Larry, Evan Ferguson, look, if Caicedo's going for over 100 million, I'm telling you, if Evan Ferguson scores 15 goals this year, I think he would go. If Manchester United came calling for Evan Ferguson, tell me if I'm deluded and if this is a little bit over the top, I think he goes for 120 million.
No, I think that's probably about right. Just given you can see the ability. It's there. Is it laziness to say he reminds me of Wayne Rooney? Just his style.
A little bit.
He's got the full man build in a teenage body. I think that's really what it is. But he's playing well beyond his years, and the only thing he honestly needs to add is to become a consistent goal scorer. Like, yeah, he still plays a little bit raw, but that's expected for a 19-year-old. He has everything. I'm quite disappointed that United didn't try to get this done last season. Unless they did, and Evan Ferguson's camp was, well, maybe just playing regular football is what you need at the moment.
Might be the right decision for him. Well, we see how players do develop at Brighton. Yeah,
absolutely. The result I can't get my head around was Newcastle Aston Villa. What on earth happened there?
Newcastle, and look, I stand by my prediction and opinion that Newcastle won't have the most successful seasons that they're sort of expecting. I think they will sort of fade, and not in a bad way. I just think in regards to their progression, I think the added gains of Champions League, I think they'll sort of finish around that sort of 7th or 8th spot, and I think that's no sort of disgrace to where Newcastle sort of want to be sort of on their journey. But in terms of that start to the season, okay, it's no shock they beat Aston Villa. I think they're a better team than Aston Villa, but in terms of the way they did it and the football they were playing to do it, you do have to take your hat off and give full credit to Newcastle. They're going to be at home, especially whoever they get their first game in the Champions League. That's a nightmare for whoever's travelling there. That's going to be one hell of an occasion for them. But at home, Newcastle are always going to be a tricky team.
Yeah, they are, and they are a tricky team. They're difficult to score against, and that's the mark of a good side. And if you win your home games and, you manage to draw I know this never happens, but if you win your home games and you draw your away games, you're on your way to a top 4 finish, right? So, Newcastle, you're right. I think the thing with them is once the Champions League gets going and then they got Carabao Cup fixtures sandwiched in between, I think you're going to see a drop-off.
Yeah. Fox brings up the point here in regards to a few injuries in and around sort of ACL injuries and sort of lists off some of the names. It looks like Tyrone Mings did his, but the one I want to sort of quiz you on a little bit is Thibaut Courtois from Real Madrid did his. David De Gea. He finally get his move to Real Madrid, do you think? Or like is this the maths is a little bit too easy to do there? Do you think there's something else at play? I'm just thinking, just haven't heard.
Kepa on loan, haven't they?
Have they?
Yeah.
Okay, that's news to me.
Yeah,
Who's Chelsea's keeper then? Chelsea bought someone, didn't they?
They did.
Chelsea buy a keeper? Sanchez from Brighton. Did that get done?
Was it Sanchez they bought? Yes, it was. Yeah.
But was that done? Have they announced that?
Yeah, it's done. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Actually, I've just seen here Fabrizio Romano, Kepa deal between Real Madrid and Chelsea won't include any buy option. It's a loan. So Kepa's off to Real Madrid. News to me. Fair play.
Justin, you get Kepa when you can get David De Gea?
Well, yeah, that puts an end to the De Gea stuff. I don't know where he's going to end up. But Justin, Timber limped off injured. Looks like potential knee injury as well. That didn't look sort of serious, but, who knows? And Cassius Michael linked to Chelsea. Or Chelsea did play Liverpool tonight. That's fascinating, that one, because, look, who do I want to win? Of course, I don't want to see Chelsea win, but my weekend does revolve more around Manchester United winning, more revolves around Liverpool losing. I want to see Liverpool lose. That gets me through the weekend and wakes me up on a Monday morning. However, just in terms of the shit show that is Chelsea, I'd love to see them lose as well, just in regards to sort of compounding so many problems they do have. So I'm probably going to wake up happy no matter what tomorrow morning. But Chelsea-Liverpool tonight, before we start to wrap up with one last topic, thoughts?
Interesting game. I think. Who's at home? It's at Anfield, isn't it?
I think it's at Chelsea. I'll quickly check. I'm positive it is at the Bridge.
Where did Chelsea get their goals from? That's my only problem with them this season. I think midfield, they're okay. I think they've got a whole bunch of defenders. It's a young team with not a lot of experience. I think Pochettino will have them working hard, but I can't see where Chelsea score goals. And I look at the Liverpool side, and I think there are goals between Gakpo, Salah, Nunez, Diaz. There's enough there to score goals. So, and I'll be keen to see how these new midfielders go for Liverpool. I mean, McAllister and the other guy who I can't say his name.
The Hungarian.
Nicholas Jackson. I mean, yeah, I get that, but he's new to the Premier League. He might need to settle in. So,
he's going to have to prove himself. He's going to prove himself to his manager and himself and his fans. But I just simply haven't seen him play, so he's going to have to prove himself to me. I know nothing about it. He might be a great striker. He might be a flop. Fingers crossed he's a flop, but he might hit the ground running for Chelsea. Who knows? But I'll be definitely keeping an eye out for him.
Lukaku in. He hasn't been sold yet, has he?
Lukaku, God, no one wants him. I don't know who wants him. I think a lot of clubs do want him, but all the fans sort of step in and make sure no deal gets done.
He stamped his own papers. He said he wanted to stay at Inter. He was negotiating with Juventus behind their back. That turned off Inter, and now the Juventus fans have run to the pitch to say we don't want him. So,
but that's what I mean. Like, which club? Like, let's say Premier League. I would say Justin brings me Spurs get a win. We'll touch on the Spurs match in regards to Ange Postecoglou to wrap up. But I could see just on paper who needs something in terms of what type of caliber. Look, I don't rate Romelu Lukaku. Anyone who's watched this for long enough understands that. I could see him in Spurs, just in regards to, okay, they need a striker who can potentially score goals. Now that Harry Kane's left, I think Romelu Lukaku maybe sort of guarantees a few more goals than Richarlison up front. So I can see that happening. But at the moment, Lukaku is linked with Spurs. Spurs fans are going to get the ump, and Daniel Levy won't want to piss them off even more this window. So he won't get the move to Spurs. And I'm just thinking Lukaku is literally in no man's land.
Yeah, he is. That's a good shout, Lukaku to Spurs. I could see that.
I could see it on paper. It won't happen.
I don't know.
Well, on edge, just as Spurs get a away win tonight, they're away at Brentford to start their season.
That'll
No
be a
Harry
good
Kane.
game.
No Harry Kane. So, interesting one there. Just in regards to the Aussie twist.
I think Spurs will win. I think they'll play good football. And look, Ange just, if you followed Postecoglou, the one manager who I can say who isn't a Manchester United manager that I can definitely talk to, he's played good football no matter where he's gone. The way he had Brisbane Roar playing, close to 10 years ago now, the way he had Brisbane Roar playing was unbelievable.
I watched the A-League then. I watched the A-League back then. That's how long ago it was. But Box with shed here, which sounds absolutely stupid, Box, but I tend to agree now that I've seen it written in paper in terms of, you can almost see in terms of one club potentially not being so against it.
Won't go to Everton. This is
but they're probably one fan base who wouldn't be against
final.
it. Yeah, he won't want it, but the Everton fans wouldn't be against it.
They wouldn't be against it, but that won't happen. You don't have to rate Lukaku, but he's better than Everton.
They lost to Fulham, at home to Fulham. Long season for Everton again, or do you think it's one of those?
Oh, yeah. Horrible transfer window. Just given that they've now flirted with relegation back-to-back seasons, and their most high-profile signing for this transfer window seems to be Ashley Young. Come on, man.
I forgot he was there, yeah. To wrap up the podcast, Larry, not a detailed discussion, but just so that your latest thoughts in and around this man was trending on social media at the time of when we started the show, Mason Greenwood. Now, I had to scroll through. There's no actual news. It's from 2 or 3 of the big sort of aggregator accounts and big social media accounts that have made up a statement in regards to their support and return of Mason Greenwood. So no official news or update or anything. But he was trending. But here we are. Premier League season has started. Just not your latest thoughts. Well, we know thoughts and opinions and everything, but just the latest on Mason Greenwood before we wrap up.
I honestly think he's staying.
Do you think the language around him staying, though, in regards to a lot of things, okay, Manchester United are going to confirm his sort of come back to Manchester United? That's 1 or 2 of the articles are suggesting. Do you think that's kind of hedging their bets a little bit in regards to staying at Manchester United could also mean a loan deal in terms of, okay, he comes back into the fold as a employee and now he's loaned out sort of thing? Like, do you think that the language is quite comfortable?
Yeah, I think if they announce it, I think they'll announce he's staying, and I think part of that announcement will be he'll be integrated back into the first team squad. I really do. It'll be really interesting. It'll be like, forget all the off-field stuff because I know that's been done to death, and I saw that obviously the women against Mason Greenwood, obviously that got a lot of attention over the last few days. But what will be so fascinating? Let's assume that regardless, whether it's with Manchester United or Roma or anywhere else. What kind of footballer is he?
Yeah.
I mean, look, I don't think he'll be too far off. I mean, when you take into account players do their ACL and can come back, he hasn't been injured. So I think I imagine he's done some sort of training in the meantime with the best coaches. I'm sure he's been surrounded with elite coaches regardless. So I don't think he might need some time, but I don't. In terms of ability, I'm sure it's still there. So how he comes back will be really fascinating, whether that's with United or not. But I'm telling you, mate, I think the fact they've left it this long, it tells me that they're leaning towards him staying. I don't think he's leaving.
I can't see that. I can't see it in my mind, but in terms of how it is unfolding, there's no doubt you are leaning to being on the side of being correct there, just in regards to running out of time. If no other club comes in for him, the transfer window does close, they are going to be
I think if he was going to
him.
go on loan, I think we would have had an idea by now. I really do. There was talk of Roma, Juventus in June.
Yeah,
I want to say
Atalanta with the Højlund deal.
Pretty quickly. And then after that, it was United are not interested in selling him. If he goes anywhere, he'll be on a loan. And even the loans talk has gone quiet. So all things
the fascinating thing I saw the other day, sorry to interrupt, but Gordon Hill, Manchester United legend, put on Twitter, and he deleted the tweet, and Gordon Hill isn't like a Manchester United legend. He's not sort of in the public eye as a Manchester United legend sort of thing in regards to a social media following or like an influential voice or anything. But he put a tweet out saying he met with Mason Greenwood and his father and had a chat with him. And Justin brings up the point here in regards to this TV interview. It's the situations I have rolling in my mind in regards to what does Mason Greenwood say if a camera is put in front of him in an interview situation. And Gordon Hill, he's deleted these tweets. But it's fascinating. in
What did he
regards to
say? I saw that. I couldn't find his
well,
tweets.
he spoke to Mason Greenwood and his father, and he's saying Mason Greenwood is sorry for what he did. He sort of effed up. But that is where I think, well, if you put a camera in front of him and Mason Greenwood denies it, he's told Gordon Hill that he's done it. So this whole not guilty in a court of law and the charges were dropped and everything, Mason Greenwood is admitted to do it. And I'm just thinking that throws a huge spanner if he gets in front of a TV camera and says, so I know why Gordon Hill has deleted the tweets, but it's where I throw this. I don't know what he's going to say when a camera is put in front of him, because I think I don't know what he can say.
I suspected this all along, to be honest. I think that if a camera's put in front of him, he won't deny it. I mean, he'd have a hard time denying it. All right?
Oh, yeah, I know.
Anyone with a functioning brain can kind of put two and two together. But the reality is, I think if a camera's put in front of him, he'll focus on, I've made mistakes. He'll keep it generic. He'll keep it broad. I've made mistakes.
Will he be talking, or will be Manchester United be talking?
Oh, no, he'll have to talk.
Oh, no! It'll be out of his mouth. Is he reading from Manchester United, or is he?
Of course, they'll all be prepared. I have no doubt. Whoever does the interview will prepare it with him. They'll practice it. It'll be rehearsed. I dare say it won't be live. I think it'll. Won't
be on Piers Morgan.
Not a chance. It won't be Piers Morgan. Yeah, look. It's a really controversial one. It really is. And like I've said time and time again, and I've been saying it for the last month, if you're of the opinion he shouldn't play for United again, I couldn't agree with you more. If you say he deserves a second chance or whatever the club decide, I'll live with it. I couldn't agree with you more. I don't think there's a right way to do this. But what I will ask and what I suggest, as uncomfortable as some people might feel about it, if United decide, if his teammates have decided we can look him in the eye, if Erik ten Hag has decided we can look him in the eye, then I don't think we as fans have a right to be any different. I think we just got to at some point accept that he plays for United. And
that's an interesting point, but that opens up a huge can of worms in regards to whose club is it? Is it the fans' club? Is it the players' clubs? I know it's their team, it's their dressing room, and there's different facets to that argument.
Well, they're shoulder to shoulder with him. Like that's my point. I mean, if the likes of Bruno Fernandes, Marcus Rashford, who I think we can say are decent enough people, seem like decent enough people.
What do you think Marcus Rashford's influence in this? Because Marcus Rashford definitely won't his people in terms of his PR and obviously what he did in the aftermath of the Greenwood situation will want to be as distant as possible from Mason Greenwood. He's the most influential voice in the dressing room and
figure. Followed him on Instagram
and sort of the one or two of the sly digs in regards to social media posts of Rashford and his partner at the time. And I'm just thinking, in regards to the PR around Marcus Rashford and how influential he is, he will obviously want to be distant from Mason Greenwood. He can't be seen to be sort of having winning team photos next to Mason Greenwood. And I'm just thinking, you talk about the players potentially, if they're okay with it. I have a feeling, I know if I was in a dressing room and someone came back after doing that, Larry, they wouldn't be welcome.
Look, but see, I'm on the other side. I'm like, he won't be my best mate, but I'll be like, he's a human being. I'm a believer in forgiveness. His partner's forgiven him. Now, look, that whole story, it's a soap opera in itself, right? But I just think that we as adults and as society, like we have to get past. You don't have to be someone's best mate. You can kind of just be civil, and to be a teammate, you don't have to be best friends with somebody. We've heard some of the greatest stories about Manchester United players who did not get along. The treble-winning side. There are broken relationships all over. But Roy Keane hated Peter Schmeichel. But the point is that all you have to do is go out onto that pitch, and when they're on the pitch, be able to communicate with them and play football with them. That's it. If these players can do it, then I think us as fans also have to. What good do we do? Because the thing is, like, society will be quick to say, oh, bullying is wrong. Don't pick on the kid at school, like the nerdy kid or whatever it is. If there's a social media video going viral around a kid getting bullied, we're all very quick to say, oh, well, that needs to stop. Well, if we as a crowd boo Mason Greenwood when he's at Old Trafford, is that not bullying? Is that not the same thing? So you know what I mean? Like, you don't have to support him. You don't
Yeah,
have to
I fully accept that line of thinking and the argument, and you're not wrong. It's just in regards to there's bullying and there's football banter, and then there's a players' dressing room. Does Manchester United owe it to the dressing room, or does Manchester United owe it to what is bigger than the dressing room? Manchester United is a football club. Manchester United is a brand. Manchester United influences millions of people around the world. That's whose club it is. It's not Bruno Fernandes's club. It's not Marcus Rashford's club. It's not Mason Greenwood's club. It's our club. I'm just saying that is where there's a fine balance. Yes, the team is on the pitch, and that is obviously a huge part of it. But look, it's a sticky situation, which I don't think will have any resolution anytime soon. I know we're talking, okay, if the transfer window ends, they'll come out with a statement. I still stand firm. They're just going to let this rumble under the carpet, and nothing will be done. Well, I know something has to be done, but the club should be sold. That should be done.
I think something will be done. I just don't know what and when. But I mean, they'll have to do something. He's in training. Like, they can't ignore this one, unfortunately for them. They're going to have to make a decision, and I think they will. I think he stays. How they manage it, oh my goodness, you could make a TV series out of it. Like this is a dead set soap opera.
Yeah. Could they stay? Last point before we finish. It's gone on for a little bit too long, and we'll be discussing this in great detail a little bit later. Can he stay in regards to Manchester United potentially want to get rid of him? No, it has no takers, or will just run out of time because Manchester United do bad business when selling players. They found themselves in a position where they wanted to get rid of him, but he's stuck at Manchester United, and they have to sort of come out that, okay, the transfer window has closed, and he just sort of goes into the sort of Phil Jones category of does his own thing.
I don't think so. The fact that you've seen clubs linked with him suggests that clubs are interested. And I think if you're Mason Greenwood, if it came to a decision of you have to play football, I think he goes anywhere that will take him. So the fact that he hasn't gone, if United are keeping him around, then there's an intention to keep him and let him play. I don't think you can do that with a 21-year-old player. I think Phil Jones, obviously injury ravaged, and last season still had injuries, had 1 year left on his deal. I think it was a bit of a different situation.
Oh yeah, no, look, it's different. I don't want to put Phil Jones into that category or Greenwood in that. It's just
I don't see that happening, Tom. I think if United make the announcement that he stays, I think he'll be integrated back into the first team and available for selection at some point. Yeah, I really do.
No doubt here. We'll finish.
I mean, on the football, United are quite lean in those positions. When you talk about right wing and up front, United are lean. Does he solve a football problem? Potentially.
Oh, that's what adds the huge thing. If he was a reserve centre back who wasn't playing, he would have been sacked before it went to court. Like these things, he scores goals for Manchester United, does make it a little bit tricky. But Greenwood's a 20-year-old kid who can change and rehabilitate. I don't agree that he should be condemned if he's genuinely remorseful and can grow as a person. I take that point of view. Just me, maybe I'm old school and tell me if I'm wrong. That's not a mistake. If you do that to someone, that's not a mistake. I don't see. Would he be genuinely remorseful? I think someone who does that is someone who does that. I don't think, oops, I shouldn't have done that.
No, but I think what Mike's saying is people can change, and if he's genuinely sorry for what he did,
like, but people can change from.
There's no mistake. That's
stealing a chocolate bar from the 7-Eleven or something. That's a mistake. That's something you can change. You can fix. I think if someone has this ingrained in them to do that to someone, my personal opinion is that would happen again. I don't think. Look, that's not the. Maybe fingers crossed he can change. I'd love nothing more than for him to change, of course, and to be genuinely remorseful and to move on 100%. But I'm a cynic.
I'm an optimist. I guess that's where we split. Look, I'm with you, and look, you don't hit a woman with premeditation. Sorry, without premeditation, right? I mean, and the fact that there's series of photos and audio, this wasn't a one-time event where you punch a wall, but I don't know. It's uncomfortable to talk about, to be honest. And look, there will come a time, Tom, where a decision will be made, and this will all be dissected into more detail. So,
yeah. Oh no, look, we'll be having this in great detail, unfortunately, further down the track. But yeah, that training footage, Justin here, that footage of him looked like me at 5 Sports, one of our venues here in Sydney. I think he's looking bad on purpose for the cameras. Yeah, we do have a game, the Manchester United Supporters Club few in the chat, Larry and I as well, on the 27th of August, I believe, here in Sydney. If you are in Sydney, the Man United Supporters Club here is playing the Leeds United Supporters Club. So, my God, that is going to be a tasty game. We'll post all the details closer to the date, but if you want to come down and give Larry and I some 3-2-1s post-match and have a beer, feel free. But as I said, we'll post all the social media details around that in the coming weeks. Coming days, the game is in 2 weeks, to be fair. But Larry, as I said at the start, first review or first preview done, which is brilliant. We'll do a review immediately after full time, so make sure you are subscribed. And then about 12 hours later, Tuesday night, we will do, I wouldn't say something a little bit different. Yeah, we'll touch on the audio podcast over the last couple of weeks, but we will do a preview, as you said, in regards to the Women's World Cup, England versus Australia on Wednesday, which is going to be, my God, one of the, you wouldn't call it one of the biggest, I don't know, is it one of the biggest sporting moments in Australia, this game?
Absolutely.
I think it is. I'm just trying to think in terms of the way the media downplays football and puts an AFL game as the greatest moment sort of thing. I think it potentially is up there. And that's the semi-final.
It's massive for Australia. I'm willing to go. It is because the men have never gotten this far. I'm willing to say that if the women go on and make the final, it goes up there in. You could make the argument the biggest moment in Australian sports history.
Oh no, I definitely would. I just don't know how it would be perceived and reported amongst
because they're women. It's massive.
No, because there's sort of protocols in place.
I'm not saying you think that, but that's the only reason that people would say it's not the biggest moment. It's because it's the Women's World Cup. If this was the men, I guarantee people would say, "Oh, this is the biggest moment in Australian sporting history."
I'm sure they'll find someone hitting a 6 in cricket or.
Oh, please. Cricket is arse. How do people watch
it? But that's why I think it would be reported in the media that it would be on 3rd or 4th in the list. They would have Andrew Johns hitting a field goal or something as number one.
Rugby league is arse.
But the numbers it is bringing on, biggest event in TV history, the numbers.
I think I said 4.3 million watched it live. And that would just be Channel 7, mind you. I don't think that would include Optus.
Yeah. Box here, nice reminder. Leeds are doing terrible in the championship. Very good to see. Spain and Sweden, they're not getting much attention, are they? In the other side of the draw. But look, we'll touch on this, Al, in regards to the preview. But just to wrap up, Larry, quick yes or no, or quick fire. England or Australia? Before we do the detailed preview.
Wait for the preview.
It's hard. It's one of those games you could potentially see another extra time.
And the reason I say that is because I genuinely can't answer that right now. I need to think about it. I really need to think about it. England at their best. I think England at their best are better than Australia at their best, but that doesn't mean Australia can't win. So I just let me have a good think about it, and I'll give you a solid answer when we do the preview.
No, definitely couldn't agree more. No, I'm
Lauren James is a baller. I will say that.
That's the loss. She's still suspended.
Yeah, I know. But she is a hell of a footballer. But
that is good for Manchester United because Ella Toone will then get the spot. Well, she was a bit quiet in the last game, but I think Ella Toone will keep that spot now that Lauren James is out. But we'll touch on all that in the preview and obviously the review immediately post-match after Wolves. But it has been a pleasure chatting to Larry and everyone in the live chat. Do appreciate everyone's interaction. Please do leave a like on your way out. We very much appreciate it. Hit the subscribe button so do join us next time we go live. And full time against Wolves. Join us, and we'll be discussing Manchester United 5, Wolves 0. Until then, have a good one. See ya.